Hello beautiful friends, I hope you're all doing incredibly well. I have so many updates and exciting things to share with you guys. I hope you care. The first thing I'm sure you can probably hear, which I'll show you in a minute. My mom is currently on her way to come pick me up so that me and her can go to the state fair with my brother. So that's very exciting. I've only been to the Minnesota State Fair twice, and I don't usually like going to stuff like this because there are just so many people and it's Minnesota. There's a whole lot of drama stuff going on, and I almost always feel like somebody's gonna like try to start a problem and there's gonna be an issue. So I try to like avoid bigger gatherings like that, but we're gonna risk it because there are just a lot of fun foods to try. So I'm gonna put up with it for that. Since my mom's probably gonna be here semi-soonish, I'm just gonna show you the cutest update that I have for you guys. I'm so excited. Okay, so this is Agatha. Isn't she the cutest little chick you've ever seen in your life? I love her so much. She's so, ow, don't bite me. She's so precious and I just want to eat her, just like a little chicken nugget. She's so cute. So we got 2 chicks yesterday and 2 hens. They're outside. Well, actually we found out that one of them is a hen and one of them is a rooster. But this is the other one. She's just a cutie little yellow chick. So adorable. Look how tiny they are. Our chickens were much older when we got them, so we've never had chicks like this before. It's very exciting. And then my dreams are coming true. We got ducks! We got 3 ducks. I'm so excited. This one talks all the time. Oh gosh, kept us up like most of the night. I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm trying to hold your wings down so you don't flap away. But look at the little floppy feet. Look at them. They're so cute. And then we got 2 runner ducks. These things are so stinking cute. They're going to be very tall and adorable. And they're foraging ducks, so they're going to eat all of the bugs basically that are in our yard. They love like snails and slugs and all kinds of different bugs and stuff. Look at how cute. Look at the little flippers. I love them so much. There's a story to how we got them. Yesterday, our friends Jeff and Michaela messaged us and they were like, hey, so we're at a kid's birthday party and these ducks and chickens are in for a very sad ending. Do you want them? And we were like, first of all, yes. Second of all, what? And they get here and they explain to us that these parents for this birthday party ordered like chickens and ducks for like a petting party basically for their kid, and they were expecting adults so that they could slaughter them afterwards, but they got babies instead, and they were still gonna just like, they were gonna let their dogs go after them after the party. We'd been talking about how me and Steven really want to get ducks soon, so thankfully she messaged me and we said yes for sure, so they brought them all over. And then like I said, we got 2 other chickens. We got a hen who I named Myrna. She's really cute. She has like yellow stripes on her neck. She's really pretty. And then the other one that we thought was a hen is this really beautiful black and white chicken, like spotted kind of. But then when we brought him here, he and Colonel Clucker, our rooster, started going at it. They started fighting and we kind of just let them fight it out for a minute, and they had that one big fight and now they're fine. So we assume that the black and white chicken is actually a rooster. If it is, we're gonna name him Stew. Because if we didn't rescue him, he was gonna be Chicken Stew. So his name is Stew. I'm so excited. Like I said, we've been wanting to get ducks because they also produce eggs like chickens do that you can eat. They're really great for baking. So I'm very excited about that. And then like I said, they're foragers, so they're gonna keep our yard clean of any unwanted pests and stuff, and they don't wreck your gardens. So I'm really excited. And this is also great because we want to put in a couple of like rock pools next year. We'd love to have like a stream and a pond. Steven's very passionate about that idea, so I'm very excited for that. Plus we want to like encourage the frogs and just like that kind of overall eco-environmental thing, you know? So I'm very excited to have a bunch of frogs and ducks, and I'm just so excited. Aren't they the cutest thing? I can't get over it. My brother and I do like a monthly trip date day thing. We go to like a local town kind of further out, but it's a little bit more city-ish. They have like a Barnes & Noble and a Michael's and just like a ton of mall stores basically. So we like to go there once a month and get some books or games or whatever, and then we hop around and do just some fun, like, I don't know, date day shopping stuff. But I did not get a book, but I did buy my brother one. So his favorite movie show ever since we were kids has been The Dark Crystal, and so I found this hiding at Barnes & Noble, so I decided to pick it up for him because it's only 10 bucks and I have the premium membership, so I get a discount, and I had rewards saved up, so basically I got this book for like $4. I don't really know exactly what it's about, but he loves the story, he loves the lore, so I got this for him. And unfortunately it does have this stupid little Netflix thing, but I ordered some gold foil stickers on Amazon, and I'm just gonna put one right there, which is perfect because one of the sticker designs is just a bunch of crystals. So it'll fit perfectly with the vibe of the book. My brother and I were like raised on that movie, so we really love it. I think it's really fun. I know everybody has controversial opinions about it, especially depending on your religious beliefs, but we thought it was really fun and cool. And yeah, I haven't seen it in years, so I can't really recall exactly what it's all about, but I just remember thinking it was really fun as a kid. And then I did not buy myself a book, but I did buy these. How in the world could I pass that up? They are like foiled, but they're so stinking cute and I love them so much. And I haven't been catching up on my writing at all in regards to my pen pals. I am very behind. It's been a few months since I've responded to any of them, but I have to like be in the mood to write letters, and I just haven't been in the mood. So hopefully with the weather cooling off quite a bit, the mood will come to me again. But reading update, so I am still reading A Wilderness of Stars that I mentioned in my last video. I didn't read for like a week, so I'm not like super loving it, but I am liking it a decent amount. I'm on page 158, so I've made not the greatest dent in it since I last chatted with you guys, but it's just now starting to get good. So I liked it at first. I was like, okay, this is interesting, you know, a little bit of things happening, and then it just like started to drag. Like she and her father had just been like walking through the woods for like ever, and I'm like, okay, anything ever gonna happen? Finally at like 120 I was like, okay, this is starting to get a little bit more interesting. And now over the past like 30 pages I'm like, okay, finally like something's actually happening. I'm actually interested. So yeah, that is my reading update. I'm very excited to finish it though, because that was more of like a summary TBR book, and I'm really excited to get into my fall reads, which are going to be very controversial. But I haven't officially decided on my fall TBR. So the controversial part, so allow me to explain first before you come at me. I know this is going to be controversial amongst my fellow believers, among my fellow Christians out there, but I hope that you don't attack me for it, because I did get pretty hardcore attacked on my living room makeover video by like this one older lady that just is so convinced that I'm doing witchcraft because I have a Coraline book. And I mentioned it a little bit in my Anne of Green Gables vlog about like how much that bothered me, but it got worse after I posted that video. This lady just like continued to come at me and say really mean things and put a bunch of words in my mouth that I never said, and just like it got really awful. And then she deleted all of her comments and blamed me for deleting comments and blocking her. So it was just like this huge drama thing, but like that's just a situation I think of now anytime I want to talk about something a little bit controversial. So please don't attack me and come at me about this. But basically, like, I would love for the very first time to read the Harry Potter series. And I know that might be a red flag to a lot of my fellow Christians out there, but allow me to explain. I've never read the books before, but I was raised on the movies. I loved the movies so much as a kid, especially Prisoner of Azkaban. Like I loved those movies, and I used to identify as a witch in my teen years. Like that's kind of like what I identified as. However, it was never because of the Harry Potter movies ever. Even though I watched them all the time growing up, like I loved them so much, it was never because of those. It was because of the movie The Craft, and it depicts real witchcraft. They were doing real spells, and that's what got me into witchcraft as a kid, because the first time I saw it I think I was like 11 or something like that, and I was in. Like I was like, yep, that's attractive, that's cool, that's what I want to do. It was never because of the Harry Potter movies. I think the movies came out when I was 7 or 8. I watched those movies and it never made me want to do witchcraft. And so when Steven and I got involved in something kind of legalistic when I was like 19 or 20, we were convinced that like Harry Potter was like demonic and witchcraft and like don't have anything to do with it. So for like 10 years, I didn't. For 10 years, I didn't even want the books in my house. I had all the first editions. had to get rid of them because they were demonic and all this stuff, and didn't touch them for 10 years, didn't look at them, didn't watch the movies, nothing. And now that we've kind of come out of that legalistic church and group and all of that, now I'm kind of like trying to make my own choices on things and like how I feel about certain things. And mind you, there's a lot of things that I watch or read now that were claimed to be demonic before that I'm watching now, and I'm like, okay, they absolutely were not. Like, what the heck? I'm wanting to make those decisions for myself. So last year we watched the Harry Potter movies during fall, and I was like, I'm not getting like a witchcraft evil vibe from these movies. Like, this is very fake. Because as somebody who practiced the real craft when I was younger, it was like, this is like nothing like real witchcraft, like at all. Like, this is totally fake. This is fiction. This is like Narnia and Lord of the Rings. Like, it's just not real. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I kept it on the DL. I didn't really tell anybody that I watched the movies because I didn't want the judgment from like crazy people like that one lady. And so I just didn't say anything about it to anybody. Well, this year I have a few Christian friends who are reading Harry Potter this year, and I was like, oh, you know? And I didn't really like say anything or do anything about it. I've just kind of been thinking about it. And then my favorite Christian influencer, I guess you could say, on Instagram, her name is Allie Ragsdale. She is fantastic. Please follow her. She's incredible. She also used to be into witchcraft, and now she like just graduated seminary. She just got married. She's incredible. But she actually just said that she's reading Harry Potter for the first time right now too, and she is seeing so many biblical allegories, so much symbolism of Christ and what he's done for us, and like just a very good light over darkness kind of a story. And I've been praying about this a lot. Okay, so this is not something that I was just like, oh, now that I'm out of that legalistic thing, I'm just gonna, you know, put all my boundaries down and go start from the bottom up. Like, no, I've had hardcore boundaries with a lot of stuff that I will just not dabble into. This is not just some kind of like willy-nilly throwing out all caution to the wind. So I'm not taking this lightly. I feel like I always word it really poorly when I'm filming, but in my head beforehand, I feel like I'm making sense. But then Frank Turek, who is also one of my favorite pastors to listen to, you can find him on YouTube. He's really great, but he has this book called Hollywood Heroes that I've mentioned on here before. I haven't read it yet, but he basically goes over Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Marvel, all that kind of stuff, talking about all of the biblical allegories that are in those stories. And even if they weren't written with that intention, as I've said before, because of our Christian lens, that's how we're seeing things. And so that's kind of how I'm seeing things now. And again, this doesn't mean I'm throwing caution to the wind and reading like dark demonic stories. Like, there are plenty of books that I have put down because I'm like, no. Like, this is dabbling into real stuff. It's mentioning real things, or it's bashing Christianity or whatever, and I will put those down, and I don't want anything to do with those. With things like Harry Potter, it's like, okay, this isn't talking about real magic. And I feel like if it didn't use the words like witchcraft and magic, if they used different words like power or whatever, people wouldn't have a problem with it. But because it's using the words, that's what triggers a lot of people. I'm like, okay, these stories are actually really beautiful when you take off that lens of legalism. In my mind, for me, that's what it was, and seeing like, okay, this is actually a story of light overcoming darkness, of good overcoming evil. To me, it's like, this isn't really any different than Narnia or Lord of the Rings. Like, it's pretty much the same thing. Like I said, it's gonna be controversial. I know that there are so many Christians who like, this is evil, like, I can't even believe you would be talking about this, or like, you're so deceived, and just, you know. So, and with the Coraline book that I have, even as an adult looking back on it, I'm like, what witchcraft are you talking about? Like, I don't see any witchcraft in that movie. It's always been a sci-fi movie to me because it's about an alternate dimension. Like, Coraline crawls through the little hole in the wall and she's in an alternate dimension where like she has the same family but they're like different people. And so to me, I'm like, that doesn't sound like witchcraft to me. Like, that's just like sci-fi. Like, that's kind of always how I've seen it. The story always made me remember to like be grateful for what I have. Like, be grateful for where you're at. Like, it was always just a story about gratitude and being thankful, and how the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And so that's how I always viewed it. I never thought of it being like a witchcraft story until that lady accused me of witchcraft because I have a Coraline book. So all that to say, if you don't like Harry Potter, that's fine. If you do, cool. Like, I'm just kind of like figure out what works for me and what doesn't right now. And like I said, I have prayed about this a lot. I mentioned it many videos ago, but there was like the one time that I was on my knees in my office crying, praying, crying out to God, begging him to show me if I'm wrong or not in regards to like reading fantasy books that have magic in them. Because I've always seen a difference between the practicing real witchcraft magic and fantasy fictional magic. I've always seen those two so different. Like, they're not the same thing. And so I was on my office floor crying, praying, begging God to like show me if I'm right or if I'm wrong with this. Like, I don't want to be deceived. And then the next day, one of my favorite apologists, Melissa Doherty here on YouTube, posted a video about it, and she had said the exact same thing. And she had just said, like, there's a difference between, you know, the fictional fairy tale story magic and the real craft. If you can't tell the difference, then you shouldn't pick them up. That's kind of where I'm at. That was an answered prayer. I feel like Ali Ragsdale reading the series was an answered prayer. Frank Turek, an answered prayer. So that's where I'm at with this, and I will stop blabbing, but I will continue to talk about this at another point because I feel like it's important. So anyway, thank you guys for being here. I'll see you soon. Can I hold on? Oh, there's chicks in there too? Yeah, you can hold them. Hi. Come here. Look at you, you poop on me. They're the cutest things you've ever seen. Yeah, look at this little bundle of joy. Oh my goodness sake. That one's Agatha. Hi, Agatha. Don't jump out of my hand. You want me to take a picture for you? Crab cakes. 0 out of 10. Nitro ice cream. 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5. How's your rice burger? 3.5. Five out of 5. Burger.
10 out of 5.
Red Zephyrins and I almost threw up. Raw fish is gross. It is not meant to be consumed. Something wrong with you.
I mean, it wasn't raw, it was smoked salmon.
It's gross. Hello again. Okay, so the state fair was fantastic. It was super overwhelming. There were so many people there, and there were so many times that me and my brother both were like, but it was good. It was a fun time. We really enjoyed like the rodeo aspect of it. So I wanted to hop on and show you guys that I did get these stickers that I had mentioned the other day, so I can put that on here really quick and we'll see how it looks. And then I wanted to hop back to the conversation that we were having yesterday in regards to the whole like Harry Potter and boundaries thing. I was trying to think of like another way to maybe talk about what I meant by having boundaries, and I remembered like one example that I could give you guys. Like I said, I think a lot of it comes down to personal discernment and how maybe certain things will affect you personally, but there are some hard boundaries that I have. Okay, so it fit on there very well. I should have put it a little bit higher because there's a little bit of white right there, but it's okay, you can hardly see it. But I think that looks great. That's so much better than the little Netflix thing. It's such a cute book. Oh my gosh. Anyway, one of the examples that I thought of was a few movies, for example, that I won't watch because I think that they kind of cross that boundary from being like fictional pretend, like how I see Narnia and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, into real, what I believe the Bible warns us about. And one of the movies is Practical Magic, which I know will bother a lot of people because that's such like a huge autumn movie for a lot of people. I watched it for the first time, I think. I don't remember if it was last autumn or the autumn before that, but I remember I was like shocked. So obviously, like I said, I've decided to watch or read things and put my own discernment, my own boundaries up for things. And so I was like, okay, obviously like I avoided anything that had like the word magic or whatever in anything. And so I never watched that movie. While I saw so many people in the bookish community specifically who like obsess over it. Also, sorry if these little peeps are annoying, but the chickies and ducks are next to me and they won't stop talking. So it's like everybody's favorite. And so I was like, maybe I'll watch it and see what it's all about. At first I was like, okay, I'm kind of on the fence about it because it starts out talking about like the witch trials and stuff like that, which was real. And mind you, I think a lot of those women were very innocent, but it got really dark really fast. And in my personal opinion, I was like, okay, this is like demonic. Like the stuff that they're doing in that movie, it's based on a lot of real craft and it's just evil. That's like one of the things that I was like, okay, no, even though this is like a fictional story, a lot of it is reflecting the real craft and it's romanticizing and glorifying witchcraft. Whereas in like the difference with, in my opinion, where I stand right now, this could change with like with Harry Potter, I don't feel like it glorifies witchcraft, whereas in like Practical Magic it is. And it was the same with the movie The Craft that I had talked about before. That was like the movie that got me into witchcraft as a child. Like that glorified the real craft. It romanticized it and it like drew you and made you want to try it. You know what I mean? And then I was thinking about books that I read as a kid. There's this series by PC and Kirsten Cast. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. I think it's the Chosen series or the Marked series. I have no idea, but I read a ton of them when I was younger and it also got me into it. But in the books, they talk about this goddess named Nyx and they're all like practicing this like craft or whatever. And it influenced me hard. Like I literally would pray to God, but then I would also add Nyx's name into that as a goddess and stuff like that. And that was kind of like the beginning of my downfall into witchcraft. So again, like I said, I feel like it really comes down to like what you're influenced by. Again, just having those hard boundaries with things. Anyway, yes, this is something that I talk about a lot. I feel like it's because I can never really word it well the way I want to. And I know that I'm going to be attacked at the end of the day either way. But again, I just hope that if you disagree that you can be kind about it and like pray for me and have kind conversations, not like other people have been with me in the past, which honestly kind of just solidified my convictions about a lot of it. Because like I had said, when that one lady kind of just like went off on me really hard, I was like, see, this is exactly what I don't want to be like. And again, like I said, I think that I've had a lot of prayers answered and stuff like that in regards to this kind of thing. And you know, if I'm in the wrong, then I just pray that God corrects me and my discernment leads me to the right place. For now, I have my line in the sand, I have my boundaries. It's kind of interesting to me that like Lord of the Rings and Narnia both have witches and wizards and people don't have a problem with that. But then they do with other works of fiction. So I feel like people make excuses for those stories because they were written by Christians. Not in regards to like Harry Potter though, because J.K. Rowling actually is a Christian. So I feel like people don't give her as much grace in that area, which I find kind of interesting. I'm not trying to convince you either way. I think you should just live according to your discernment. If you feel like it's wrong to read books or watch movies that have anything like that in them, then don't. You know, I'm not trying to convince you either way. I guess I'm just sharing where I'm at solely because I know people question me and my taste all the time because like that one lady said, you're a Christian, but you have occult books on your shelves. And it's like, I really don't though. Obviously, like I said, there are a lot of people that will see a book that's like black and have like a skull on it or a star or whatever, and they automatically think occult when it has absolutely nothing to do with that. It really comes down to perspective sometimes with some people because like I said, there are a lot of things that are not inherently evil that people have kind of tied that to because of their cultural norm, I guess, in Christianity. There are a lot of churches or Christians that are like, this is evil, this is evil, this is evil, because there are people who practice the craft that are associated with those things when in reality those things are not inherently evil. And I know I've talked about this a billion times and I will continue to do so probably for a long time. But like the crystal that I have on my shelf, it's purely for decoration because it's a beautiful creation of God, and some people will see that and accuse me of witchcraft. You know, so you never know what you're gonna get when you post online, but I'm here putting it all out in the open, and I'm fully expecting to get backlash because I always do. But at the end of the day, it's between me and God. He'll correct me and he will lead me where I need to go. As a Christian, I see everything with a Christian lens, so I can read, for example, Harry Potter and see a lot of biblical allegories and like a quote-unquote Jesus story, which a lot of people do. I'm a fan of any story really that is light winning over the darkness, and that's what that series is about. Like I said, I've seen the movies several times, and that's always a theme that I've gotten from it. It's always been so inspiring to me, of light winning over the dark and friendship and camaraderie and bravery and courage. So anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox now because I feel like I'm just gonna start repeating myself as I do. So I wanted to show you guys a new book that I got. My friend Kaya from FABLEWOOD Goods recommended this book to me because I have been going through a lot the last few years, specifically the last like 2 or 3 years. I've mentioned this in my previous videos before, that my husband and I have gone through so much over the last 3 years, like literally completely turned our lives upside down and changed a lot and have gone through a lot. Like I can't even begin to explain to you the stuff that my husband and I have gone through. So I've kind of been like overcoming a lot of that kind of stuff, and so my friend Kaya recommended this book to me to help me through a lot of what I'm battling. And so this book is None Like Him by Jen Wilkin. 10 Ways God is Different from Us and Why That's a Good Thing. I don't know anything about Jen Wilkin, so I can't say whether or not I recommend this. I just have heard amazing things about it from Kaya, and I trust her very much, so I'm very confident this is probably going to be very good. God is self-existent, self-sufficient, eternal, immutable, omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, sovereign, infinite, and incomprehensible. We're not, and that's a good thing. Whoa, that was a mouthful. I'm surprised I pronounced all that right. I hope I did. Our limitations are by design. We were never meant to be God, but at the root of every sin is our rebellious desire to possess attributes that belong to God alone. Calling us to embrace our limits as a means of glorifying God's limitless power, Jen Wilkin invites us to celebrate the freedom that comes when we rest in letting God be God. So that sounds incredible, and I already love the whole idea of God being higher, because unfortunately I feel like there is this trend in the church right now of us being called little gods because of that verse of Jesus saying that you'll go on to do greater things than I. A lot of people take that out of context and assume that means that we can like do the things that Jesus did. From my understanding, the correct interpretation of that is that we will do more in multitudes because there are millions of believers now as opposed to the so few that were back then. I feel like it's become a very popular theology to assume that we are like God and that we can do what God can do, and we can name it and claim it, and we can rebuke this, and we just have all the power. And I just could not disagree more. And so I'm really excited to dig into this and see what I learn. Really want people to know how great God is. Like, he is so much bigger than us, and he is outside of time. I think definitely one of the triggers for my anxiety is that like I feel the need to control everything. I really want to know what's gonna happen and are things gonna be okay. And that was one thing that I was telling Kaya, and she was like, you need this book. So I'm really excited to get into it and calm myself down a little bit, because like I said, after coming out of like so much trauma the last few years in regards to our personal life, and leaving an MLM that we were part of for 10 years, and leaving a Bible study that was super corrupt, and just like all kinds of stuff, I have a lot to heal from and a lot of theology to get out of and I'm getting into truth. So that's also, like I said, part of why I'm going back and allowing myself to create my own boundaries for fiction and movies and books, because there's so much false theology that I followed. So now I just want to like go through things myself and really determine based on my discernment and my reading of the scripture if something is appropriate or not. Like I said, I get so passionate about this because it goes so much deeper than the things that I mention here. Anyway, I'm really excited to read this. Thank you, Kaya, for recommending it to me. I'm really hoping that this changes a lot for me because I need it. And then I have not gotten any further in this, but I forgot that I did not really like give kind of a synopsis. But basically there is this girl Vega who is the last astronomer, and she and her mother have been living in this valley. She's never left the valley. She's never really left her home very much, and so her mother dies, and because she's the last astronomer, she needs to go out and find somebody called the architect. And I believe that their goal is to like find a cure to this illness that is basically killing everyone in the world. Like I said, they've never really left their valley before because of this illness, and so I think that Vega being the last astronomer and like the stars being in a certain position that the cure is available somewhere in the world. I have no idea, but it wasn't giving me enough information for the first like 100 or so pages, but now it's like actually starting to happen and things are moving, and I'm assuming that I'm going to get more information on what the cure is, if there is one, if that's what their whole goal is. I don't know. All I know is that there are people outside of the valley that are really, really sick, and Vega's the last astronomer, and I think she wants to find a cure. Again, the synopsis is kind of hard to explain because it's very vague. Enjoying it so far, not obsessed with it, but I think that as I get more information, as the story goes on, I'll like it a little bit more. So I really love Sharon Shaw's writing though, and I really loved her book, A History of Wild Places, and it's getting similar vibes because of the whole like community within the valley thing, so I'm hoping that it gets a little more exciting. But like I said, I am probably gonna talk a little bit more about some controversial stuff in the future because that's just where I'm at right now, establishing my own boundaries and having my own discernment. So I'm probably gonna ruffle feathers. Please just don't be mean to me. I'm on my own journey of figuring things out. I appreciate you guys being here, whether you agree or disagree, and I'm very excited to just stay on this journey of the Lord leading me wherever he wills. So thank you again for being here and being nice. So I'm gonna get back to work because I'm on my lunch break, and then like I said, I will be reading a lot tonight, so hopefully I will just close this video out maybe over the next few days and giving you guys an update on where this goes. You're being such a good boy. You gonna do the first bite?
Yeah, first.
I did the plums, you should do the apples. You should probably wipe it off though. Homegrown. How is it?
It's pretty good. It's sweet. It's still a little bitter. Obviously, it's not fully ripe. It's better than the store-bought one.
That is so good. Hello friends, this is the second time I have tried filming this because the first time I just sobbed the entire time. I'm sure I will probably cry again, but the first time was a little ridiculous, so I'm gonna try to reel it in a little bit. I have very sad and devastating news for me. Unfortunately, the duckies have passed already. We've had them for a week and a half, and it was a beautiful week and a half, and I'm so grateful. But unfortunately, they are gone. I'm doing really good so far. This is the part where I broke down the first time. For the first few days, we just kept them in the house, and then for a week, we've been putting them outside on our deck in a kiddie pool, and they absolutely love it, and they were thriving, and our dogs left them alone completely. Our cat left them alone completely. There was never any issues, so like for a full week they'd been going out every single morning and everything had been fine. And a couple of days ago I had put them out on the deck in the morning, and I noticed that after like an hour it had been kind of quiet, and I usually hear them talking, and so I grabbed some ducky treats and I went to go feed them, and I walked outside and they were gone. And my heart dropped and I was terrified and started like looking around because they usually just walk around the deck whenever they popped out. And I looked over the railing and I saw my two gray runner duckies laying in the grass, lifeless. and I started yelling for Steven to come outside, and I just started crying, and I said the dogs got the duckies. They had to have gotten the duckies. And so he just like held me as I just cried, and we went down in the yard and I found the 2 gray runner duckies underneath our pear tree. I'm sorry to be a little bit graphic at the moment, but both of their necks were snapped backwards, and one of them had blood all over her face, and it was just so devastating to see. It was just really, really hard because they're just babies, you know? They're so tiny and helpless, and I still had their baby feathers, and Steven like demanded that I go inside and just not look. I went inside while he found our 3rd ducky, the little yellow one, and she was also gone. He put them in a little box and dug a hole and then called me out, and we put the box in the hole and buried them underneath our favorite oak tree in our backyard. And we know that it was the dogs because Steven checked their teeth and they had little baby feathers in their teeth. So we know it was them. And I've just never been through this before. I've never had an experience like this ever with an animal, so I was just completely devastated. I sobbed all day long because I found them in the morning, and I just cried all stinking day long, just sobbed. It's especially hard because, like I said, number one, because they were babies, but also because I feel like our dogs didn't do it to be like aggressive. Oakley, for example, he's very, very playful. He wants to play with everything and everyone. He does it with our cats all the time. He like goes up, he'll like stomp our cats, and thankfully they're smart enough to like fight back or just like get where he can't get them, but he doesn't do it aggressively. Anyway, I think that they probably got out of their pool and the dogs kind of saw that as like a no-no because that's where they've been for the last week. And so I think that they just kind of like ran after them and tried to like get them, and I don't know. I'm trying to rationalize it in my head when it really can't be, and it's just been really hard. So for the first time ever that night, our dog slept outside because I was just so upset and angry, and obviously I can't really explain to them in words that that was wrong, you know. Obviously we made it very clear that they were wrong, and I think they know that. It's just been really hard, and I was really debating if I wanted to even go through with this video because I was like, how stupid that I started this video with like, yay, we got ducks, my dreams are coming true, and now I have to end it talking about me finding their dead bodies in my yard, you know. And thankfully everybody so far has been really nice about it because I expected a lot of people to be like, well, what did you expect, you know? But truly I wasn't expecting this. Like I said, our dogs have been with them alone outside for a week and nothing had happened, no issues, not once. So it was just like totally unexpected. Like I said, I think just the ducks leaving their pool and trying to go into the yard by themselves is what kind of triggered the dogs. Anyway, I'm just really, really sad about it. And I know that some people might hear this and they might think it's pathetic, like they're just ducks, you know, but number one, I'm already the most emotional person you will ever meet in your life. I cry about everything. And 2, finding dead bodies of animals is really devastating. And 3, they were already my family, you know, like I took them in expecting to have them for the next 15 years. Like runner ducks can live anywhere from like 10 to 15 years. So it's like I was expecting a whole future with them. And I just got like robbed of that, you know? So it was just a lot to process, and I'm really sad. Like I said, it was like a huge dream come true that we got ducks. Anyway, thankfully the chickies are okay. They were in a separate area. They're fine, the 2 baby chicks. I did almost have to rush my flock of hens earlier today because they came up to like meet the chickies, and one of my chickens, Gerda, like pecked one of them, and I was like, absolutely not. I'm already traumatized. I'm not trying to lose another baby animal. So that was a close one. Anyway, yeah, that is my sad news. I'm devastated. I'm heartbroken. And I felt a little bit better that Steven cried with me when we buried the ducks. I didn't feel so stupid. But thankfully, all of my wonderful friends on Instagram have been so gracious and loving and wonderful to me. One of my friends named Ashley, I haven't actually met her in person, but she lives in North Carolina and she's got a lot of like chickens and ducks and stuff, and she was like, I feel for you, like this has happened to us before. I guess some dogs got their ducks, and she was like, I was devastated and I sobbed. So like, you're not alone. This is not like an isolated thing that you're feeling. This is a real hurt, and it's okay to like feel hurt about it. So that made me feel a lot better. But like I said, I can't stop saying it. It's just the saddest part is that they were babies, you know? They probably felt like so helpless and terrified. And I just feel so bad that I didn't hear anything, that I didn't check sooner. I was sitting right here. Like, this is my office chair. I have my jean jacket on it. And literally our patio, our deck is like right outside the door, right there. And I didn't hear anything. So it just makes me sad to think, like, what was I doing when they were being killed, you know? Anyway, thanks for being my therapist. Huge thank you to my friend Nadine, Tales Beneath the Trees on Instagram. She sent me these beautiful flowers with a little note because of the duckies. So that was really, really nice. As I told my book club friends right away, me, my friend Nadine, Kaya, and Leanna, who is a cottage hobbit on Instagram as well, we have our own little book club that we call the Mothlings that we use on Instagram, but it's kind of nice because we're all Christians, and so we come to each other for like prayer requests or just like life advice and stuff like that. And I messaged them right away and I was like, can you please pray for me because I'm heartbroken? And they were all so incredibly kind about it. And literally like 2 hours later, these flowers showed up at my door and I just like lost it. I just started sobbing. So thank you, Nadine, for being like such an incredible friend. It was funny how I was like, after the first time I filmed this, I was like, I'm gonna have to film that again because I was like sobbing, and now I'm still sobbing. Anyway, so yeah, we do plan on getting ducks again in the future at some point. I want to get little ducklings, and obviously I've learned to keep them away from the dogs no matter how well things seem to be going. So Steven and I have decided that we are going to turn our boat shed down in our yard into a coop for the animals. Right now it holds like his antiques and stuff. That'll be a fun project to do, but yeah, we do want to get more runner ducks and call ducks, and I think Pekin ducks? I don't remember what they're called, but we do want to get them again in the future because I loved them so much. Like I said, they had a piece of my heart, so that is why I'm so devastated, and I'm just really glad that we at least got to have the experience. You know, better to have loved than lost than never to have loved at all. So I'm just clinging to that, and I'm excited to see them when they get to heaven. Anyway, gosh, enough of that. I've been crying for like 12 minutes. I will be giving you one more update after this for my book, and then hopefully I'll be done. But gosh, goodness gracious, get it together. In my book, because obviously I've been trying to distract my mind, so I've been reading more, I've made it to chapter 10, page 306, and I will say that this has gotten better. It has picked up quite a bit. Like I said, I got kind of bored for a little bit because I felt like nothing was really happening, nothing was really explained. I did guess a couple of the plot twists, I guess, but it wasn't anything like devastating. It was just kind of like, oh, like that's probably gonna happen, and then when it happened, I was like, yeah, you know. But I wasn't like mad about it, so it's getting a lot more interesting. Vega and Cricket and Noah are together. So first it was Vega traveling with her dad, and then she met up with Cricket and Noah, and they're helping her to find what she needs to find, which again, I'm still a little bit lost on what exactly is going to be discovered. I know that they're trying to make it to the sea, but I don't know for what. Like, I'm assuming that she's gonna have to, I don't even know. I can't even guess. I think I already explained it, that like, I think what they're doing is like discovering a cure for consumption. Things are actually happening now, and there is a little bit of a romance, which is exciting. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know if it was said in like the like synopsis that came out, but I am really enjoying that aspect. I'm realizing how much of a romance girly I am, so it's been a pleasant surprise. Steven has left to D&D, so I'm gonna go do some Bible study, and then probably read this for the rest of the night. Maybe I'll throw on Lord of the Rings or something to, again, just boost my serotonin, because I'm just still kind of feeling very sad. And I did not know that like your forehead could be bruised from crying so hard. Literally doing this hurts. Like, it feels like this is just one giant bruise. My forehead hurts so bad. Touching it or like going like this, like it hurts. So I don't know if it's like from the pressure inside or if because I was doing this so much as I was crying, but I've never had that before. So that's been a fun experience. Thank you so much for being here and being kind and wonderful with everything that I'm going through. And I will hopefully close this video out the next time I see you. Hello friends. It has been quite a few days, but I finished this a while ago and I wanted to give you an update. I'm doing much better emotionally speaking, well in regards to the duckies at least. I still cry every once in a while when I think about them, but I'm doing better. The cheekies are still alive and well. They're getting so big and they're so clingy. Every night when Steven and I are sitting on the couch and I'm reading or we're watching a movie or something like that, they always pop out of their little like enclosure area and come and hang out with us and just sit on our legs or our shoulders. So I'm really excited about that because the hens that we have aren't very social with us. So I'm glad that we get to raise these ones from little tiny babies and teach them not to be afraid of us. So I'm really excited about that. Also putting up more bookshelves. But anyway, so back to this thing. Not a fan. Not a fan. Oh my gosh, this was just so weird. So weird. So this is supposed to be a fantasy and it ended up being like a Western sci-fi. And it was just so odd. Like there was no fantasy elements to it. It dragged so much for like the first probably 70 to 80% of the book. Ugh, I was not invested in. The reason is because you don't get any information about anything. You know that Vega's the last astronomer, she has to find the architect and they have to get to the sea. And that's like all you know. And that's pretty much like what the synopsis says. And you don't know why, you don't know any details. And while that's usually a good like setup for a good twist, in this case it's like so much is hidden for the reader that really I had no reason to be invested in the story. We weren't given enough to stay interested, in my opinion. And I know I'm not the only person who feels like this. I've heard a few people that DNF'd this book, and I actually haven't talked to anybody personally who liked it. Like everybody that I know who read it didn't enjoy it. They think the same thing. And then the ending ended up being super rushed. So at the end you like find out what's at the sea and like the history of the astronomers and everything like that. But it was such a big and strong info dump, like so fast and so rushed, that it made all the waiting feel like it wasn't even worth it. So like this whole story you're building up to like what the story is about the last astronomer and the architect and everything like that, and like what the history behind all this is and like what the sickness is, and then you find out and you're like, oh, okay. And this was over 400 pages, so it's not like this was a quick read. And I usually like Shea Earnshaw's reading because I read A History of Wild Places, which I really enjoyed, and Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, which I really enjoyed. And her writing is like super poetic and beautiful, but in this case it was so repetitive, so incredibly repetitive. It was so annoying. Like she would say things like, we need to get to the sea, and then underneath that line it would be in italics, we need to get to the sea. Or like, my heart is breaking, in italics, my heart is breaking. And it's like that happened like every 2 or 3 pages, and I'm like, oh my gosh. It was just so repetitive. Because so much was being kept from the reader, she was only able to like hit the same points over and over again that we already know. So it's like, instead of giving us a new piece of information, she would give us an older piece of information that we already knew but worded differently, and it was just really annoying. Vega was really annoying. She made so many dumb decisions that didn't make any sense, especially for somebody who has such an important like role, and like her mission is to literally like save the world, and she just makes really dumb choices all the time that don't make sense. It's like, if you have the weight of the world, like literally you have the entire world in your hands, and you're just gonna like be really dumb about it. Oh, it was so bad. But then the worst part, well, I really don't know, this might be a tie for the worst part, is that the ending was an open ending, meaning it's left up to your imagination. You don't actually know what happens. And that was, oh, the cherry on top of making me angry. So overall, I would give this one 2 stars because I think that the story had potential, and I really enjoyed the concept, and like what the sickness ended up being I found to be fascinating. I thought that was like an interesting plot twist, but just building up was not worth it. The characters were really annoying. The insta love was kind of annoying. Like I partially get it because of their roles in life, but at at the same time, the fact that Vega makes such dumb decisions because of that insta love was just infuriating. Anyway, that's my review for A Wilderness of Stars. Maybe there will be a second book, and if there is, maybe I'll try it and then maybe it'll be worth it. Anyway, that's my wrap up. I already started my next book and I'm loving it so much. I'm already more than halfway done with it, and I started it like 2 days ago, which is a really big deal for me because I'm a very slow reader. So I will mention it in my next video because my next video will be a fall TBR, and I'm going to overwhelm myself and put way too many books on there and not get to all of them, but I'm still going to mention them anyway because you never know, you know? So yeah, thank you guys so much for being here and watching me cry and saying nice things to me on Instagram about all the tragedy that we've gone through the last couple weeks, and it has been rough over here, not gonna lie. There's been a lot more going on. Again, thank you so much for being here and listening to me rant and just being a part of my life. I really appreciate it. So I love you so very much, and if you watch to the end, leave a little shooting star emoji because again, I always love to see who stays to the end of the videos, and I will see you guys in my next one.